Ever heard of a plan so wild it sounds made up? Like flooding an entire desert to create an inland ocean in the heart of Australia? Well, it's not fiction. It's real. And they almost did it. Australia was ready to gamble $200 billion to turn its scorched red center into a shimmering blue sea. And now the plan is back. This isn't just about water. It's about survival, climate, power, land, and one of the most controversial engineering ideas in modern history. So the question is, could a man-made sea save Australia from drought or destroy it? Strap in, because this is not just some crazy theory. It's a buried secret with real consequences, and its revival may already be in motion. Let's dive in. Once upon a time, yes, really, Australia had a sea in the middle of the continent. Millions of years ago, much of Central Australia was covered by the Aral Sea, a vast inland body of water teeming with prehistoric marine life. Fossils found deep in the Outback confirm this. Massive ammonites, marine reptiles, coral beds. It was a blue oasis in the heart of the desert. Over time, it dried up, gone, replaced by the cracked, sunburned landscapes we know today. But that ancient sea left behind something important. A massive depression in the land, like a forgotten bowl waiting to be filled again. And for over a century, that's exactly what dreamers, engineers, and governments have wanted to do. Fill it back up. In the 1930s, one man made this idea famous. John Bradfield. If his name sounds familiar, he designed the Sydney Harbour Bridge. But he wasn't done. Bradfield wanted to go bigger, much bigger. He looked at Queensland, drenched in monsoon rains each year, and said, "Why not take all that excess water and send it south?" His plan was to redirect entire river systems, using an enormous web of dams, canals, tunnels, and pumps to move water into the Lake Eyre Basin. A huge stretch of land 15 meters below sea level. If you think that sounds insane, it kinda is. But Bradfield believed it would cool the continent, make the desert bloom, generate hydroelectricity, and even change Australia's weather patterns. He wasn't alone. At the time, Australia was deep in the Great Depression. The Bradfield Scheme, as it came to be known, offered hope. Jobs, farmland, a greener future. But physics had other plans. Here's the hard truth. Building a sea in the middle of a desert isn't just ambitious. It's nearly impossible. Let's break it down. Lake Eyre, the chosen spot, is gigantic, covering over 1.2 million square kilometers. That's 17% of the entire continent. It's shaped like a giant bowl with no drain. Water flows in, but it doesn't flow out. Sounds perfect, right? Not so fast. First hurdle, volume. To fill, it would take 300 cubic kilometers of water. That's like trying to pour 600 Sydney harbors into the Outback. Second problem, evaporation. In the scorching 40 degrees Celsius summers, water vanishes into thin air faster than it can be replaced. You'd lose up to 3 meters of water a year, just to the sun. And third, salt. Since Lake Eyre has no outlet, all that salt stays behind. Over time, it would turn the sea into a giant Dead Sea on steroids. So Bradfield's plan hit a wall. The math didn't work. The cost ballooned to hundreds of billions. And worst of all, the environmental risk was staggering. By the 1970s, the plan was shelved, forgotten, until now. In 2020, a new version of the project appeared. Let's call it Inland Sea 2.0. This time, it wasn't about rerouting rivers. It was about pumping ocean water straight into the desert using solar-powered desalination plants. Sounds futuristic? It is. These new plans use renewable energy, modern filtration systems, and high-efficiency pipelines to carry seawater 600 kilometers inland. The goal? Create a saltwater inland sea to boost rainfall, stabilize temperatures, and act as a buffer against climate disasters. Proponents say this version is smarter, cleaner, Sustainable. Critics say it's still a $200 billion pipe dream. Let's unpack both sides. Supporters of Inland Sea 2.0 make bold claims. First, evaporation slows down in salty water. The salt creates a natural layer that reduces water loss. Second, a large inland sea could trigger something called the lake effect, where nearby air picks up moisture and creates local rainstorms. That means more rainfall for the Outback, which is currently dry as dust. Third, it's powered by the sun, solar energy running desalination plants and pumps. That's a major upgrade from 1930s diesel engines. And finally, this new sea could attract new industries, algae farming, ecotourism, even floating solar farms. Some urban planners even dream of solar-powered cities springing up around its shores. But the critics? Oh, they're loud. Opponents say this new plan still ignores the biggest threats: salt, soil, culture. Flooding lake air with seawater would destroy the surrounding ecosystem, turning the soil into sterile salt flats. Forget agriculture, nothing would grow there. Then there's the matter of indigenous rights. The land in question belongs to the Arabana people, who consider lake air a sacred site. For them, this isn't just land. It's ancestry, identity, and living history. As Elder Aaron Stewart once said, "Our stories are written in this land. You can't drown them." Even if the tech could work, the ethical cost might be too high. And let's not forget money. $200 billion could fund hundreds of smaller, smarter water projects across the country. So now the country is split. But imagine, just for a moment, that Australia does go through with it. What happens? Year 1. Ocean water begins flowing through solar pipelines. The lake basin slowly fills. From space, you'd start to see a shimmering blue patch in the desert. Year 3. The sea reaches 30% capacity. Salinity spikes. The water turns bright turquoise from mineral buildup. Year 5. Microclimate shifts begin. Areas within 100 kilometers of the sea start getting 15% more rainfall. Storm clouds form where there were once dust storms. Year 10. Tiny lakefront towns explode into boom cities. Real estate surges. Tourists arrive. Solar farms and algae reactors dot the shoreline. Year 50, 2 possibilities. 1. A thriving inland biosphere, with new flora and fauna evolving in the salty waters. Or 2. A dead hypersaline wasteland, abandoned due to toxic levels of salt, collapsed infrastructure, and broken promises. It's a coin toss, but there's historical precedent. Over 5 million years ago, the Mediterranean Sea almost vanished. Scientists call it the Messinian salinity crisis. The sea nearly dried up until the Atlantic Ocean burst through the Strait of Gibraltar and refilled it in just 2 years. The result? A biodiversity boom that shaped modern Europe and North Africa. So maybe, just maybe, a man-made inland sea in Australia could spark a similar rebirth. We've already seen engineered lakes work elsewhere. Lake Nasser in Egypt, Lake Kariba in Zimbabwe, even China's massive South-North water transfer project. The difference? Most of those had freshwater sources and political backing. Australia's project has neither. Still, hope lives on. In 2023, several architecture firms released wild designs for solar cities that could surround this sea. Think Dubai-style skyscrapers, algae farms producing biofuel, and entire communities powered by clean energy. The vision? A future-proof, water-rich, energy-independent Australia. Bold, daring, almost cinematic. But there's still one thing standing in the way. It's not the salt, not the money, it's the human heart. Because at the end of the day, this is a story about how far we're willing to go to reshape nature, and what we risk losing in the process. So now it's up to you. Is this a visionary climate solution? A desperate Hail Mary? or just a billion-dollar fantasy fueled by nostalgia for an ancient sea? The reality? This project will never be easy. It might never happen. But as Australia faces longer droughts, hotter summers, and water crises more often, don't be surprised when this wild idea resurfaces again and again, because deep down, humans don't give up on impossible dreams. And this one is just too big to ignore.